You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
And let's deal with this when it comes to this whole issue of blackness. This is what I said in, the third year of Obama's term as president, then when he got reelected. I said, the next black person who runs for president of the United States is going to have a very difficult task. I said, because you are going to have some black folks who are not going to give them the same runway they gave President Barack Obama. And what you have seen thus far, specifically when it comes to Senator Kamala Harris, is you actually are seeing that. Yesterday, I was on MSNBC, and we were talking about this whole idea they were talking about Donald Trump Jr. retweeting someone who said that, oh, did you know that Senator Kamala Harris, her father is Jamaican and her mother is Indian? And then, of course, he later deleted that particular tweet. And I went on and I said that there's a significant problem when you talk about this whole issue of blackness, because it is black hate cloaked in black love. And so what you've had all these folks who call themselves ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. And so they've been out here talking about this particular agenda. And what I find to be interesting is that, in which folks also don't want to deal with, is there is a significant hate towards immigrants, even black immigrants, when it comes to ADOS. I can say that because I've had some of these damn fools literally hit me up saying, oh, you're not really ADOS because your paternal great-grandparents migrated from Haiti, which is really stupid and asinine when you realize that I was born in Houston, Texas. My mama was born in Houston. My daddy was born in Houston. And so I can actually trace lineage back. And the reason this thing is stupid and asinine, because these folks somehow believe that they somehow have cornered this idea of creating a black agenda for ADOS people, okay? And then the reason I have contempt for many of them, now there are some people who truly believe in terms of candidates should have a black agenda and speaking to the issue of African Americans. I've spent my whole life doing that. Now, some of these fake-ass people all of a sudden decide to just wake up in the last 2 or 3 years, where those of us like me, I've run 3 black newspapers. My first internship was with a black newspaper in 1990. Do the math, 2019, 1990, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But the reason why this is stupid, because what you have is, you do have people who are questioning her blackness. Now, first of all, if you deal with that phrase itself, who is black? You can actually have a daddy who's from Jamaica, mama Indian, and you still black. African American saying I'm from the United States, it's a whole different deal. She also was born in the United States, so let's not act like that somehow that also doesn't exist. But this thing goes to, in terms of what are your interests in issues and concerns. Well, if you actually study Senator Kamala Harris, she hasn't, look at her whole career, she's never actually represented a, quote, black district. If you're a member of Congress and your district is 50, 55, 60, 65% black, okay, that's a whole different deal. But when you've been district attorney, when you've been, attorney general, when you've been, United States senator, it's a whole different deal in terms of who you represent. Then you have the people who are saying, well, she's claiming black, when actually that's not true. But let's break this thing down. So if you listen to the folks who are on the ADOS movement, they make the argument that, well, because she's not really from here, she doesn't have the interest of black people. Okay. So please explain to me, Clarence Thomas. He's from here. He doesn't have relatives who immigrated from elsewhere. He's from rural Georgia. He can trace his lineage back to slavery. So what do we say about him? See, the reason this is a dumb conversation, because I can show you somebody who is not from here, but who fought on behalf of black people. Y'all ever heard of Shirley Chisholm? Now let me compare Shirley Chisholm, Clarence Thomas. Shirley Chisholm's people are where from? Barbados, not from here. Clarence Thomas is from here. There's an ideological difference. So if you are studying different people, there are people who have ideological differences. Now, why am I also calling these folks out? Because this black purity test, again, is dumb. Because we've seen it before. You know what we've seen before? When we question black people who grew up in the suburbs. See, again, if y'all want to have this discussion about, well, who's ADOS and whose people can trace their lineage back, well, what happens then when we get somebody black who grew up in the suburbs? And black people say, well, you're not really black. Y'all know that it happens, right? So what do we say then? What do we then say to somebody who's black, who's ADOS, who can trace their history back, but they went to all white schools and they don't necessarily have the same perspective as other folks who are down? See, I love these folks who hit me on Twitter and hit me on Facebook and hit me on Instagram and, oh, Roland, you don't really believe this, when I've been on the front lines while a bunch of y'all been playing video games. And now all of a sudden you woke because your ass been asleep, while those of us have been awake for a very long time. If you want to question a person's policies, that's fine. When you start playing this game of blackness and what do they claim, then you got dumbass Boyce Watkins, who then says, how did Kamala Harris go to an HBCU and bury a white man? As if you ain't never seen. But see, the real deal is that the only reason Boyce did that, because he's an attention whore and he wants folks talking about him. That's why he did it. Yeah, I went ahead and said it. Okay? And so that's what you're dealing with there. The problem with all of this is it's a stupid conversation. Yes, it's stupid. Eric Holder, first black attorney general. Okay? Sitting here right now, working on the campaign, dealing with partisan gerrymandering. Where his folks from? Barbados. General Colin Powell. Where his folks from? Yep, West Indies. Harry Belafonte. Where his folks from? Again, Malcolm X. Mama from Grenada. Do y'all even understand we can go down the lines of a lot of black people who have been on the front lines in this country fighting on behalf of black people who are not pure black people? That's what this thing is about. This literally is a black purity test. And it's stupid. It's really stupid. And then some of y'all say, well, no, we're not questioning her blackness. Yes, you are. Game, recognize game. And we've seen this when people have questioned black folks who did, well, you not really black. Because you didn't. See, we know the old deal. You didn't grow up in the hood. But what the hell is the hood? I grew up in a black neighborhood. Oh, we wasn't a project. But it was an all-black neighborhood. In fact, it was the first master plan, one of the first master plan black communities by the Racist Department of Housing and Urban Development in the 1940s. Yeah, real black. That's what I grew up in, Clinton Park in Houston. Okay, so does that make me fully black? And what is fully black? Does it mean having a mama and daddy in the house or coming from a single-parent home? Do you see how this is stupid? Do you see how this is nonsensical when we are literally spending time on that nonsense as opposed to the actual issues that impact us? And then I had somebody tell me, well, this is the year return where you can go back. who don't know a damn thing about what's happening in the world? 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world right now are in Africa. 7 out of 10. Now, black folks been saying forever, oh, we would love to be able to go back to the motherland, have relationships. So why are we creating dissension by trashing folks who are from black countries like Jamaica, Haiti, Bermuda, African nations, because we want to say, no, but you're not pure black. You're not from here. That's not really your interest. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it should be no part of this damn debate. Now, if you want to challenge Senator Kamala Harris on issues, go right ahead. If you want to challenge Senator Cory Booker on his issues, go right ahead. No problem. But to literally be sitting here and having a dumbass discussion about blackness, that to me is trifling. It is trifling. And the last point before I go to my panel, if you one of those folks who are sitting here and you're tweeting, you're talking, and you're saying, oh, if they don't do this, I'm not going to vote, you are dumb as hell. Donald Trump has already appointed more than 120 judges to the federal bench. More than likely, the Republicans will confirm another 40 to 50 before the election in 2020. That means if you sit your stupid ass at home and don't vote and literally give him another 4 years, that means that he will more than likely appoint another 250 to 300 federal judges to the bench. Right now, he's already appointed upwards of 20% of appellate judges. Now, what does that mean? For all the issues y'all care about, that means when you file a lawsuit, you're likely going to have a Trump appointee hear it in court, which means a right-wing judge. You just heard us talk about the lawsuit they're filing against Florida in federal court. That means, and those judges will be anywhere from 35 to 45, which means they will be sitting on the bench for the next 30 to 40 to 50, possibly 60 years. That's right. That means that if you are a black kid today who's 18, there's going to be a federal judge appointed by Donald Trump who might be sitting on that bench when you are almost 70. But some of y'all are sitting here and you're saying, I'm not going to vote. It makes no sense. Nah, what makes no sense is some of the rhetoric coming from you. And let me be real clear. Y'all can sit here and tweet me. Y'all can sit here and cuss me out. I really don't give a damn. Y'all can sit here and try to question my blackness. And you know what? I just quote Della Reese from Hall Night. Kiss my entire ass. This is dumb. And because there are people who are not from this country who have fought along with, besides folks who are from this country, because they said the African diaspora is important. And oh, by the way, if you sitting here want to talk all this smack, then you want to dog folks who are not purely black, well, damn it, stop quoting the slave uprising in Haiti, the first successful slave revolt in the Western Hemisphere. Well, then stop quoting other individuals who are not from here. Because all you're doing is embarrassing yourselves, and you really have no understanding of black history. And when I say black history, yeah, black history. History here and in other black countries. Cleo.
Well, your entire ass? Okay.
Yeah, entire ass.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna leave that alone.
I love some food. Roland is shook. No, I just wanted to go ahead and say it because I'm tired of stuck on stupid people, such as you, Haywood Johnson.
Roland.
So if you post a comment, trust me, I'm gonna call you out. Go ahead, Cleo.
I have not followed this 8OS track that you're referring to, so I don't know what that all entails. But of course, I've heard conversations about Kamala being black enough, but it wasn't in the context of ADOS. And I think that there's other issues here that people are reacting to. Again, I'm not coming from an ADOS perspective. I don't know that perspective as well as you. But I think there's people who don't trust Kamala because she has a white husband. And I think they're questioning her commitment to black people.
Which is stupid.
And black issues.
Which is stupid.
But okay, well, stupid is one way of looking at it.
I'm going to call it stupid.
Okay, but let me finish.
Harry Belafonte's had 2 white wives.
Exactly.
We know he black, but go ahead.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I think it's important, as I was telling the producer earlier, that we actually unpack and dialogue around why people have the perspective that they have. Because we can call them name and call them stupid, but that's not going to transform them. From their perspective has merit, and I think we should engage it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, so don't make any assumptions about me. But when you live in a society where white men have killed, continue to kill as cops in any other ways they can, have lynched, have castrated, have done damage to black men, there's a knee-jerk reaction among some black people about, wait a minute, how are you going to be, quote-unquote, with somebody who looks like these people that have done harm to us? Now, that might be a quote-unquote stupid reaction if you come from a place of intellectual analysis, but if you come from a place of trauma and emotional reaction to the assault on black people, you question it. Also, let me finish. Also, some of the reactions that people had to the debate, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I think there was one section where a white woman named Joan Baez, what was her name? Marion Anderson?
Marion Williamson.
Marion Williamson brought up reparations for a split second, and I was quickly interrupted by Kamala, who talked about a child. Kamala, who talked about a childhood busing experience, and people interpreted that a certain way that may be behind, I don't know, some of these ADOS reactions that are coming off as being so-called black enough. I mean, Colin Kaepernick is half white. As far as I'm concerned, you can't get more black affirming than the behavior that he did.
Colin Kaepernick is half white.
We can go on.
Jesse Williams, half white.
Well,
I mean, we can go down. We can name a lot of half white people.
Barack Obama,
half white. Hell, black people love Halle Berry, half white.
Well, right, but
and let's look at all the black men who are married to or either having sex with white women.
Well, that's a whole.
Let's just be real.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Let's talk about it contextually. I mean,
no.
I'm not sure it's a
who she is married to ain't got a damn thing to do with policy. Because here's why: the same people who are critical of Harris for her policies, do they love Obama? He had a black wife, so having a black wife or a white husband ain't got jack to do. She is running for president. And my deal is, I'm not going to sit in, well, you know, you married a white man. Look, first of all, that's who she married. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I married a black woman.
Like I said before, you can easily intellectually do an analysis like that. But people's reactions to this is based on people needing behavioral proof that people have their back as black people.
Yeah, but you can't even. But you can't. But
it's the behavioral issue,
right? And but my deal is look at policies. Go ahead, Abers. Then we'll go to Brooke.
Yeah, you know, it would be nice if people would form their opinions based on logic and fact.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be a refreshing change here.
And trauma interrupts that.
Well, maybe they need to go to a therapist then. Maybe let's suggest they all go to therapists, because I've been following the ADOS group, as you've mentioned. And they are completely detached from an understanding of the transatlantic slave trade. Let's first say that, okay? Let's first say that they seem to not understand that the difference between me and my brothers and sisters in Jamaica and my brothers and sisters in Guyana and my brothers and sisters in Barbados
or Brazil,
is where they were dropped off.
Who got dropped off?
They got dropped
off. The damn boat dropped us.
Yeah.
We are the same blood.
I agree.
We are the same blood. And you are showing your ignorance when you don't get that. And you keep making these dumbass statements, okay? That's number one. Number two, the stuff about who Kamala married. Number one, she didn't get married till she was 50. And I can tell you she dated a lot of black guys. So let's just say something right here. with all these black men like a Dr. Boyce Watkins, who wants to conjecture around how could she, what is the reason, why did she marry a white man when his own damn daughter married a white man? Maybe it's the same reason his daughter married a white man, perhaps.
Damn.
It ain't none of your business. That's the answer, number one. That's the answer. And number two, the bottom line is, as you mentioned, this woman has gotten where she is on her own. A lot of times when people bring things like this up, it's because of the sexist notion that the only way an intelligent woman can get somewhere is if she got there from having a sex with a man, or because of her proximity to white male power. This is the sort of the innuendo that a lot of people are raising when they raise that issue.
In fact,
it's complete and other bullshit.
Right, because first we had Willie Brown on here, and of course they dated. And first of all, if anybody wants to understand California politics, Brooke, one of the most powerful people in California politics for the last 40 plus years is Willie Brown, a black man.
Yep.
And so it amazes me, this whole idea, like, oh yeah, she had white folks who were taking care of her career, whatever. And again, and here's the deal, I don't for the people who, and let me be real clear, I haven't endorsed anybody. I've interviewed numerous candidates, and I'm looking at everybody. But the issue that I have here, and then some of the people are saying, well, no, and I've already seen some of the comments, Roland, some of us are looking at her policies. Okay, good.
That's fine.
That's fine. But, Brooke, the problem I have are the people who literally are having this blackness conversation when I know, when I've heard people have the same discussion about black people who were born in Alabama or whatever, who are from here, and they like, well, they didn't really grow up in the hood. Oh, so let me break all of the uniqueness stuff. Right? Well, so-and-so went to a private school. They ain't really black. So-and-so grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood. They ain't really black. Uh-oh, you in Jack and Jill. You ain't really black. You in a fraternity sorority. You ain't really black. All these people out here even holler, you in the boule. You ain't really black. You have all these folks who want to start assigning who's not really black to determine whether or not you really down with the cause. And that's just asinine.
Absolutely. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is internalized racism that I think just perpetuates white supremacy on a larger scale. That's absolutely just completely what this is. And there's a bit of sexism in it. And I'm glad you brought up, the person, one of the main people complaining about this, her daughter married a white person. So it has nothing, it's performative. Part of it is performative. And I don't believe that people who are perpetuating this horrible conspiracy deserve any time. We shouldn't listen to them. I don't think we should have those conversations, because I don't think your trauma or what you believe is your trauma is an excuse to abuse someone else and create trauma on them. Now we are having national conversations debating her identity and her blackness, and it's horrible. And when it comes to wanting somebody to have your back, how often do we have the perspective? Because we always say perspective matters, and I do believe it matters. And we sat there on the debate stage, and one of the most talked about moments came from a black woman with a lived experience of benefiting from busing, something that Joe Biden was against, and kind of brought in this states' rights narrative that harms the ability of black people being able to maintain and achieve and hold on to their civil rights. And we had a person who experienced that personally. And that conversation was a conversation that needed to be had for America. But it put, in the forefront right there, black people, black Americans, and our history. And how is that not having our backs? How from that is the takeaway, well, she's not black enough? That is absurd.
Well, I got somebody here, Janine Moran Donald. She's not black. Actually, she is black. She's not African American.
Roland.
But she's black. But here's the deal, though.
She was black enough to get bussed. If she wasn't black, she would have been in a white school.
And the problem, and again, what you have, because here is this whole deal with ADOS folks, is that the only people who should be benefiting from policies are people who are descendants of slaves and nobody else, which, okay, that's not going to happen because the reality is when a law is passed, it's not like you can literally say, I'm just going to exclude all these people here. Now, there are examples where sectors or individual groups or whatever, depending upon whatever it was, have been impacted. But the thing that still is tripping me out here is for all of this attention that's going towards Senator Harris, are the same folks actually demanding in terms of from other candidates? No. And what are they speaking to? And the reason and the reason this is a bigger issue for me, Cleo, is because black folks are going to have to reconcile with this reality that as we continue further, it's going to be more interracial marriage. And so what we're also doing is we literally are saying to, I'll say it, black kids who may be the product of an interracial relationship. And what some of the people are doing is you got to pick. You got to pick. It's like, look, people have been going crazy. I'm going to use Tiger Woods, for example. Folks have been going crazy Tiger Woods. He calls himself combination. Okay, why did he call himself that? Because his dad is black. His dad is also Native American. But his mama is Thai. And he also has white folks in his family.
But he used to say he was black.
Who?
Tiger.
When?
I have it on tape.
Right.
Because I've actually examined this phenomenon.
Right.
And there's tape with him about 13 years old where he's calling himself black.
Got it.
And the assumption is that something occurred, which I'm going to talk about.
And what did he talk about? He talked about racism that he experienced on various golf courses, things along those lines. He talked about that. On tape.
Well, later, not around the time he called himself black, but
no. Actually, he talked about it. Actually, in the interviews that I've seen, when he also was a kid, he talked about racism that him and his dad experienced when they couldn't play certain golf courses, things along those lines.
Yes.
But here's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is when daddy black, mama Thai, you've got some black folks who are like, no, you black, so basically forget your mama. But I know some individuals personally, who say that, wait a minute, my mama's black, my dad is white, or my dad is white, mom's black, or whatever, and they said, why can't I simply say I'm biracial? Why do I have to pick? I'm saying that because we are going to have more and more people who are like this here.
You sure are.
And what we are seeing here is a dynamic where you ain't really black, and that's, to me, it's nonsensical.
Okay, Roland, let me say something and make something very clear here. First of all, I am with ADOS, and ADOS is not my frame of reference. And one of my critiques of ADOS, which is why I'm not with ADOS, is what you broke down in terms of the fact that they're trying to be divisive and separate black people based on where the boat landed during the enslavement period. And I don't agree with separating us along those lines, so I want to make that clear. I also want to say that black people, and let me finish, because folks love
Well, first of all, you're talking, so talk.
Yeah, but that's not, people always interrupt when I say things like this.
Just talk.
Black folks live in a context where there's been intergenerational media and institutional rejection of black people, mistreatment of black people, and black people who have passed and in all kinds of stuff that was anti-black, including marrying white folks as an anti-black reaction. And when I was an undergraduate, I did a whole research project on interracial attitudes and why black people make the choices they make, and I won't get into that right now, but a lot of the reasons why black people made those choices were anti-black. And the people who were white in my sample, their reasons for being with black were not anti-black. It was based on fetish and all kinds of other kinds of things. But there's lots of anti-black attitudes in this society. What's going on with some of these people who are not good at articulating what's happening with them, they're more immediate in terms of what's on the surface, is they're concerned about people's behavior that looks like it might be rejecting of them as black people. That is a legitimate perspective. It might be dysfunctionally acted out sometimes. And also, we're living in a time now where the media and corporate America is disproportionately pushing biracial families, biracial relationships, black man with white woman. If you watch TV right now and get your calculator, you'll find very few black-on-black relationships when it comes to black-on-black love and the affirmation of that capacity in the media landscape. So there's people reacting to that. There's people who are skeptical because of the attack on black-on-black love, which Ray Charles can see that's happening in the media and that's being pushed by corporate America. I went to a tire shop the other day, as I said on your show before, and I saw a tire advertising where there was brothers who looked like me with a child. It was just him and that child who was clearly half white. And these are models. These aren't real families. These are contrived, put together situations that somebody intended to put together. So some black people, including Cleo Monago, who's concerned about this biracial push that's implying that black people loving each other is not as valuable as black people loving white people. That's a real agenda that's happening. So there's people who are looking at, whether they're wrong or right, looking at the likes of Kamala, who from their perspective interrupted the reparations conversation during the debate. Like, where is she coming from? And we don't want no white man as the first lady with a black president.
The first lady not gonna be the first.
Well,
lady.
of course, I'm figure of speech. He's gonna be a man.
He'll be the first man.
But see, you're being rational. I'm talking about what people are emotionally saying to themselves.
For the folks who are emotional, look,
it's real, man.
No.
I
understand it's real.
I
understand it's real, but as Ava said, some people need to go ahead and get some therapy. Here is the piece that
people who were slaves need therapy.
No. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that
appropriate.
What I'm saying is, that's why
a lot of people aren't getting it.
What I said is, this is self-hate cloaked in self-love. And if you told, I didn't say all the time, but I'm saying this here. If you told me, Roland, you got to pick this ADOS person whose history and their concern ain't got a damn thing to do fighting for the liberation of black people, but this cat who's from Haiti or Jamaica or from an African country, and they are ready to stand side by side with you, guess who I'm going to pick? The person who's fighting for freedom.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm trying to get people to understand is, you might be an American descendant of a slave, and you might not give a damn about black people. And so we've got to stop this whole. It's like, well, no, this is who I am.
This conversation can't be centered around ADOS. They are a.
No. I'm only mentioning that because I'm also expanding it, Avis, because what we are dealing with, and I keep saying on the show, why we have to have a retraining, a reprogramming of Black America. Because when you have a level of self-hate, all of a sudden it begins to, well, no, y'all ain't one of us, so you go over there. When it's some folk on our side who ain't down with us. That's why I use Clarence Thomas.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I think it makes sense and it's logical to critique every candidate on their record. But let's critique every candidate on their record. And what I am seeing is some interesting folk fixation on Kamala that I am not seeing on anyone else. Guess what? Newsflash, she's not the only prosecutor running.
Oh, right.
Number one.
Klobuchar
was
a prosecutor, record. And you also don't have the same attacks on Senator Cory Booker that you have with Harris.
Absolutely. Who authored the crime bill? Who authored the crime bill? It was
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Okay, so I think, and what does a prosecutor do? They actually enforce the darn laws. Okay, so they enforce the laws that are on the book. So I think it's very interesting to me that she has been singularly fixated on by this group from day one. It's not just from this particular debate. It's from the moment that she announced, and it has been very, very strategic.
Right.
It has been coordinated, and I believe that it's a really good...
Brooke,
yes.
Hold on. Brooke, final comment from you. And again, I do believe, I'm telling you, I believe some of this also has to do that there are black people who are upset, who believe that black people didn't benefit from Obama. And I said it, the next black person who runs, they gonna catch hell because of Obama. Now, ain't that something?
I think that's true.
But it's so bizarre because I think you're right. You're right. The next black person that runs is catching all of this, but Biden is just sailing through. That's wild. Kamala Harris is being judged harsher than Joe Biden. And I have a problem with that. I do think that there is a lot of sexism in a lot of these conversations about her.
I want to bring in right now Trabian Shoulders, founder and CEO of BME. We were, of course, before even all this stuff came up, we were scheduled to talk to him about this whole narrative for Black America. And so, Trabian, welcome to the show. Your thoughts on this conversation?
No, brother. Thanks for having me. It's actually a really poignant and enlightened conversation. But at the heart of it is, and you've all said it over and over again, the question of blackness is a distraction from our actual black agenda. While we're running around spending all this time and energy trying to figure out who's brown enough and who's not and who should be married to whom, we're not spending any energy talking about what is our actual agenda. How do we build black health, black wealth, black know-how, black networks, black love, black, like that part you don't get to spend any bandwidth on because we're spending all our time on these things that, like I said, to me,
and Travian, when you say black agenda, also, folks, having a real black agenda that's outside of reparations. Because here's the piece. A candidate can stand on stage and say, I support reparations. Got it. Is it going to pass the House or the Senate and get signed into law about Trump? Okay, so fine. Candidate has said, I believe in reparations. All right, what's next? See, I mean, and that's the piece. So the people out here yelling reparations, I'm like, okay, gotcha. I heard you. What else is on your agenda? Travian, go ahead. I'm going to go to Brooke. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, actually, just
Hold on, Brooke. Travian, then Brooke. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was going to say, if I may, here's what's on my mind. When you get right down to this question, whether it's the question about, who's black enough and who's not, or it's the question about our actual black agenda, the main thing that we have to answer is who do we think that we are? Because I have worked with thousands of black leaders now, and I've worked with thousands of white leaders now, and when you ask them the question about black America and how they define black America, both white liberals and black liberals, for lack of a better word, black progressives, they all define us according to some type of dysfunction, some moment in our past, like slavery, some nonsense about whether we're at risk, high crime, absent file, all that rhetoric is repeated by both our friends and our foes and by us, when in reality, we all got excited about a $1 billion grossing movie called Black Panther because it depicted black folks from a wealthy nation that had educated women leading and dedicated black men committed to the community and the country. And they were all tech savvy and they were cool and they were brilliant. And by the way, everything that I just named about that mythical place called Wakanda is true of black people in America. We're a $1.2 trillion economy. Our women are among the most educated in the country. The black men are the most dedicated fathers according to the CDC. Black folks love tech because we do it all the time. Where the arbiters are cool and fashion. So everything that we loved about this mythical place, we actually have. We just don't act like we have it. We don't talk about ourselves and we don't define ourselves in the truth that is us, that we are beautiful, that we are accomplished, that we are capable. I was talking to a brother who's an activist 2 days ago. When I mentioned to him that most black people are not poor, he paused and said, well, that can't be right. Most black people in America are not poor. Yes, there's more than we want. And yes, black-on-black crime is a real thing. But 99-point-something-odd% of black folks do not actually commit black-on-black crime, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. So when we look at our reality, my thought is, all this energy we spend denigrating ourselves and then figuring out how to box climb out of this hole that we dug in terms of the way we think about ourselves and the world thinks about us, we can fix all that just by telling the truth about who we are and defining our people by our aspirations. And then once we've made that clear, who we are and who we aspire to be, then we can talk about any kind of challenges that we face. But if you don't do it that way, if you don't acknowledge our aspirations, our contributions first, then people start to think that all we are is a bag of problems and dysfunction. And that is so far from the truth that we get into sick conversation.
Brooke, Travian makes a great point there. I love that he brought up Black Panther. I remember when the movie came out the first weekend, I think it did about $240+ million in opening weekend. And I had posted something on my Instagram page, and I said, what if we bought it? I said, what if we gave the equivalent of the cost of 2 tickets to our favorite HBCU? And Brooke, I had people who were coming at me saying, why can't you just let us enjoy the moment? And then other people said, Brooke said, that's not going to make a difference. And I went, fool, how do you think it made $240 million if people didn't buy tickets? And I'm going, you do know it made $240 million because folk bought 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, 4 tickets, and they literally could not put 2 and 2 together and say, if we were so hyped about a movie, which I loved, why can't we get hyped about an HBCU? And they literally said we couldn't do it. I'm like, but we just did it with Black Panther. Go ahead, Brooke.
I think that you can do both. It's a great
Yes.
thing.
No. But Brooke, what was amazing though is they actually said we couldn't do it with the HBCU, and I'm like, we just did it with the movie.
Right. That's just people who didn't want to. That's why we're in the situation that we are, right? I just think people didn't want to.
It's not. Oh, sorry, sis. Go ahead.
No, you're okay.
Go ahead, Travian.
I was going to say, it is literally time for the next narrative for Black America. We have, if you're a civil rights generation person, that means you're in the baby boom generation. And the baby boom generation is, get into the late 60s, 70s, and so on. So literally, they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of everything is because they were around 50 years ago. And we're at a point now where so much has changed in our context that we have to update our narrative. And I think the right way to update it is to start off by telling the truth about Black people as actually aspiring and accomplished beings, because we've been that. We've been assets in this country, literally, since the day we got here. And the only question is, who owns this asset? Do we own ourselves, or do other people own it?
I'll interject with this here, and I want Cleo to speak to this because we've talked about this a lot. And I'm gonna schedule this because we need to do it. I'm telling you, if you read Dorothy Cotton's book, Dorothy Cotton was the only woman in Dr. King's inner circle, and she was responsible for the SCLC's Citizenship Education Training Plan. If you wanted to join SCLC, you would come in to their group. You would then get assessed, Cleo. They would assess you, and they would go, okay, this person needs to be reprogrammed. And so they would take you through this program to say you need to be reprogrammed before they will allow you to even join the SCLC. I absolutely believe that what is missing is a massive reprogramming of Black America. Not only you talk about trauma, you talk about the power of white supremacy. I was playing golf today, and this brother goes, he said, man, nigga, please. Then he stopped. He was like, you know what? I need to stop saying nigga. He said, because there's somebody who's suing a coach right now who said to these basketball players, the AAU players, you niggas need to start playing better, and one of the parents is suing them, and the brother supports the lawsuit. But he used the N-word in our conversation, and I'm sitting there going, and it's like I blocked somebody the other day who called me a coon. I said, oh, but you're conscious. I said, hold up. How can you be a conscious brother, but you're using the exact same language that white oppressors used against us? I said, now, you want to criticize me, fine. I said, but why don't you use some language that white oppressors don't use? And I'm telling you, the level of self-hate that exists, and we also think a lot of that is self-love.
But I'm also
saying... Trayvon, hold on one second. Hold on, Cleo, then you.
Self-hate is not Black people's fault.
Right.
Self-hate is not a intellectual choice that someone made on a Thursday because I hate myself on Friday.
Right.
Self-hate is a consequence of environment in white supremacist culture called the United States of America, which is why I mentioned the media and all those influences. It's important. What you just said is so key. And it's more important than getting mad at Black people for being confused, which they did not choose to be because they don't even know they're confused. It's creating that model, that deprogramming, what I call trance-breaking strategy. My work is built around trance-breaking because we're in a trance. When somebody is grown and calls somebody the N-word and then has to step back and go, why did I do that? And going through all these psychological dynamics, it's because they're in a white supremacy trauma trance. So it's not helpful if somebody's in a trance to re-traumatize them with name-calling, with assaults, with getting mad at them for being... See, that
Go ahead.
That ain't helpful. That's not helpful, Roland. We need to do things...
But they might break them from their trance.
No, it doesn't. We need to do stuff that's going to deflect trauma and that's going to create a space to actually critically self-evaluate.
Okay, I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm going to say you sick as hell.
Well,
Is that better?
Well, your neck was still doing the other.
What? I can't even attitude to it.
You have to come off as if you give a damn.
I do give a damn.
I know you give a damn.
You sick as hell.
I know you care. That's what's ironic about your approach. I know you, Roland. I know you care. I don't care what nobody call you, whatever. I know for a fact that you are in love with black people and you about the affirmation and the advancement of black people. What I'm asking you to consider, and we should do a show on this, as strategies to do trans-breaking work.
All right.
So we can come out, so we can deprogram, like you say, because we do need to do it.
Right. Trabian, then Brooke, and
Yes.
Avis, and then I'm going to close this out and go to a break and then come back and finish the rest of the show. Go.
All right. So all I was going to say is our whole organization is dedicated to a next narrative for Black America. We have 300 fellows across the country. They're all black, all different walks of life. Some of them in finances, some of them on the street, but everybody's committing themselves to our people. And how do we tell the story of our people from an asset perspective, and then set an agenda that is about building our health, our wealth, our know-how, our network, and our communities. We're holding a conference in October. You can come check us out at nextnarrative.net, and I will stop there.
Brooke, go ahead.
I just want everybody, to not cause pain in order to help soothe their own.
Yeah.
Well, that was short and sweet. All right.
Right on.
Trabian, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Give us the website again, Trabian.
Yeah.
Nextnarrative.net.
All right.
Where is he?
Thanks a bunch.
In the country.
Ask him.
Brother, where are you in the country?
Where are you based?
We're headquartered in we're headquartered in Miami, but we work around the whole nation.
You're in Miami.
Okay. All right. Trabian, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Hey, guys, they're back. MarijuanaStock.org has another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a bunch of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. Folks, the last time many of y'all missed it, y'all been sending me emails like, can I get involved? Well, you now have a second opportunity. This new investment opportunity is as good, if not even better than the last one. I'm talking about industry hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin of marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action by investing in their crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. If you want more information, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org, and yes, it is a black-owned company. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.